Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I wanted to, before I get going, I wanted to thank everybody. Yesterday I had mentioned that I had AFib and that I had gone for a checkup for all this business, and I had gotten a lot of emails from people giving me suggestions and telling me stories about how their family members had had it, or people they knew had had it, and some of the things that that will work and you have to go through. So I appreciate that, and it's like been a frustrating thing because it's been about a year and a half I've been dealing with this, maybe a little more, but it's kind of like every time you think you got it whipped, all of a sudden they say, "Yup, you still have that irregular heartbeat going on," and so it's kind of frustrating to deal with, but at least, you know, things could be worse. It's not a life-threatening thing, and so it's more of a thing to try to prolong your life, and you don't want your heart overworking itself over time. And so I'm just glad and thankful that I don't have anything worse. Okay, moving along. Stephen Diep is knocking it out of the park again. As I recall, he took a little break a while back from Twitter, but he's come back with ferocity. And so a couple days ago, I think he posted this, and I forgot to put it up. But if you don't follow Stephen, he has a real knack for going and finding these small snippets of video or piecing together small snippets, and he's on to something when he makes them short and sweet. And so in this particular one, he put an IMF compilation together where he basically demonstrates with video of different people in the IMF how they are pro-crypto, and they even mention Ripple in the video, as I think they mentioned Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Ripple. But they mention in here how useful they believe that cryptos will be and how the world will change. And he's right. Do not watch, you will get excited. So you might want to go watch that and follow him. Also, he put this out, which was really interesting to me. This is first I'll read this to you. The speed of new technology adoption is accelerating. The adoption of crypto assets will be faster than you think. Recap: Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, is confident that banks will be custodying digital assets in a year from now. But this little graphic that he put in this tweet is really cool. Let me see if I can get it bigger. Okay. If that will go away, let's try that again. Okay. But anyway, what he's showing here is new technologies over time and when they're introduced and how long it took for adoption. And what this chart says to me, because it starts, I guess it's starting with power. I don't know if these are in order. They may not be. But anyway, this would be either the microcomputer, maybe power steering. I don't remember which one this is. Maybe it's power steering. But anyway, you see how the adoption with technologies took a longer time, but as time came along, they're adopted much more quickly. And so, like if you use some of these, like social media, I would say this would be the social media, goes straight up. And it happens very fast, as well as smartphone usage being right here, I guess. But that's an interesting presentation of how fast things happen, and that's what I believe. If you look at crypto, and since I was in this back in 2013, if you really look at crypto and go back to 2013, in the scheme of things, it's taken a lot longer. But right now in this bear market, you know, we've been in this bear market for almost a year. It feels like eternity in just this bear market, but we've really been through like 5 or 6 or 7 of these. This one is one of the longer ones, but there was one, I believe it's around 2015, that lasted about the same amount of time. This isn't the first time, but what I believe is going to happen is when we come out of this one, I believe that this one is the one right before the major explosion in prices. And I don't think there's any looking back. And I think it looks like one of these straight lines straight up after this bear market. That's what I believe. Moving along, I wanted to show you this. There has been so much since it was XRP Crypto Wolf that got all this coin market cap conversation about the market cap. Well, actually, it was Corey Johnson, and then it was XRP Crypto Wolf. And since that time, it has taken over. And more or less, it all started with this was when, imagine if they calculated market cap correctly, is what Corey Johnson said. And then XRP Crypto Wolf had picked that up, and I think he had said that coin market cap is not correct. Coin market cap was not correct, calculating the XRP market cap correctly. Well, all of the other, as we've talked about, like a lot of the others, like Yahoo Finance, and then Forbes Crypto said they would correct it, and some of the different ones like Live Coin Watch said they would. And then Coin Market Cap stood by its guns, and they're like, no, no, if we did that, we would have to put Foin Coin at the top, which is a complete red herring. They're the only one of these indexes that shows you the prices that says, oh, well, you'd have to do that. Nobody else has to do it, but Coin Market Cap would have to do it. The reason I will not let go of this Coin Market Cap thing is what I've shown you before. I'm going to show you again right now, but before I do, here's what sticks in my crawl, and I can't seem to get out. What makes this really interesting, this entire article is about the showdown between XRP and Bitcoin. If the showdown were just a showdown and it came down to which technology is better, and that was that, then XRP would just blow the doors off. But since Bitcoin began adoption first, and Bitcoin came out first over time, you had a lot of people who have invested physically and emotionally, and now you have Bitcoin maxis and maximalists. And so what's happened over time is they have been put in a corner now, and they can't get out of the corner, because when you know that XRP's got a better technology, how do you get out of that corner? The only way you get out of that corner is by throwing red herrings out, which I've believed that, in my opinion, that's what coin market continues to do. But if you look down here, they say what makes this really interesting is that at the height of last year's dizzying bubble, XRP would have actually had a higher market capitalization than Bitcoin, at least under the more generous metric. And so if coin market cap had changed that market capitalization for XRP to what we think it should be, it would have jumped Bitcoin. And do you know what would happen if you know what would and will happen when and if, I mean, it's going to happen, XRP jumps Bitcoin on that list? Psychologically, overnight, there's no telling the storm that would come, and in terms of investments in XRP and investments out of Bitcoin, and they know it. And this is the other thing that I never have been able to get out of my mind, that just bugs me to no end. And part of the reason it bugs me, and I'll say to Coin Market Cap now, explain it to us. This is the thing I can't get away from, because imagine that you're Coin Market Cap and you say, okay, we're going to take donations in digital assets. What I want to know is, what is your thinking when you've got a list? Now, XRP, keep in mind, XRP has stayed for the last 4 or 5 years in the top 3 to 5 digital assets. So what I want to know is, what is your thinking? Why would you skip XRP? Why would you not accept XRP donations? And in my opinion, there is only one reason that you would skip XRP and not even put them in this list. One reason, and one reason only. And that is because you hate XRP. You can't stand our XRP because you're one of those proof of work guys. You don't think XRP is decentralized. You're one of those guys. And that's what's bothered me about this from the beginning. CoinMarketCap has never, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but they've never tried to answer that. I want an answer to it. Why did you skip XRP in this list? Why do you not want XRP donations? This has to be a philosophical problem. And if it's a philosophical problem, then how do you explain this? This is January 8th of last year. This is what we've talked about before. How do you explain, you know that South Korea is bigger on XRP than anywhere else in the height of the XRP run up. And if you go back to that article, remember it said that it would have been higher than Bitcoin if it was calculated that right way, the correct way. So these are the two things that I've never heard a great explanation from CoinMarketCap. If they will give me a great explanation for this and why in the world they did this without saying a word to anybody until they did it. If I had two good explanations for this, then I might buy into the fact that they would have to have Coin at the top in order to list XRP's market cap correctly. Until then, I am not buying what they're selling. Moving along. Nasdaq Communications VP confirms Bitcoin futures in H1 2019. We're doing this no matter what. When we had the market go down a lot 2 weeks ago, the first thing I started to hear, which I thought was so crazy, is, oh, well, now, and then it was not a coincidence. And I said it then, when back just happens to come out and say, oh, we're going to put off our exchange to January 24th. They just happen to come out with that information right when the market does a huge crash. They just happen, oh, yeah, we're going to put that off. And it created a perception in the market that, oh, Wall Street's having second thoughts about coming into crypto. And I said at that time, these guys don't ramp up and spend hundreds of millions of dollars to ramp up getting into digital assets. And they don't declare digital assets a new asset class for the first time in over 500 years. They don't do that and then just, oh, well, even though we know that there's been 5 to 6 historical digital asset crashes, this one right here really bothers us. And so we're going to reverse all of our plans, and we're just going to lose all the hundreds of millions of dollars that we've already thrown at setting up digital assets exchanges. What kind of sense does that make? Of course, that's ridiculous. So this article, I wanted to show you just to show you the way that these guys really think. Nasdaq came out and confirmed that they're doing Bitcoin futures, but at the end, this right here is what I wanted to read. We got into blockchain, the blockchain game 5 years ago, and when the technology first popped up, we just leant out of the window and shouted, "Hey, come over here, right at it." We've put a hell of a lot of money and energy into delivering the ability to do this, and we've been all over it for a long time, way before the market went into turmoil. And that will not affect the timing of this in any way. No, period. We're doing this no matter what. You are darn right they're doing it no matter what, because they smell the money. I've been saying this all year. Wall Street smells the money. You do not get a new asset class every day. This is the first time a new asset class has been introduced. I believe it was since 1696 or 1694 with bonds. And this is about to change the world. And so any of you, you know, what is very interesting is after that market crash a couple of weeks ago, the traffic, even, I mean, you immediately notice the traffic like on YouTube and online, like Google. A lot of times you can look at Google Analytics of traffic into different digital assets or searches and that type of thing. But the traffic dropped off probably by like 15 or 20%. Well, that's 15 to 20% of the people who had no business investing in digital assets, because those 15 to 20%, they have no idea what they were invested in, and those people did not belong in invest, because they fall into one of two categories, in my opinion. Either they didn't understand what they were invested in, or they did what myself, as well as anybody I've ever listened to, has told them. They did the one thing that was the opposite of what we said, which is they invested more than they could afford to lose. And so that 15 to 20%, if they truly didn't get it, or they invested so much to where it would upset them that much enough to just turn everything off, which is okay. Now, if you turned everything off, I should say there could be a third category, and this is the one. The third category would be the people that I would advise this to. There are people who just, it makes them too nervous to look at that. And that group, yes, you should turn it off. If this drives you up the wall and it makes you too nervous, it's a good thing to turn it off. I turned it off a couple of years ago. I thought that I'd been wrong. I thought, I came in 2013. I saw a few run-ups. And I think it was around 2015, everything had collapsed or somewhere around there. I turned it all off and forgot about it. I literally came back to this. I woke up one morning, I believe it was May of maybe 2017. I can't remember. But I just saw some piece of news. I literally had to go, I believe at the time it was GateHub. I literally had to go and see if I still had my XRP. Literally. And it was there. So anyway, this has been a wild roller coaster, but you have no idea just how close we are the things that are going on now are just unbelievable compared to anything I've seen since 2013. Okay, moving along. I wanted to show you this because one thing I've said for a long time is that this is called how traditional financial instruments are breaking out in the world of crypto. This is about this company, Buybox, who has done, they've come out with crypto bonds. But I just wanted to show you this just to, and they said in here, this is interesting because I've mentioned this several times. In many cases, some of the new products emerging in the crypto market are iterations of services that have existed in the old-fashioned financial world for years. Bonds are a good example. These have been kicking around for more than 500 years. Back in 1694, that's what I told you a few minutes ago, they were issued by the Bank of England to fund a war against France. That is the last time a new asset class happened. But this article is basically about all of the, you've got futures, bonds, and they mention there are other options. But anyway, bottom line, I just wanted to show you this because it confirms what I've been saying, which is they're going to come out with every product from traditional finance that you've ever heard of, in addition to products that have not even been invented yet that work for crypto. You're going to see everything you can even imagine. And don't forget, because this is huge, and I'm going to finish this video with a great quote from a guy in the space. But do not forget, and anytime you question your investment, be the person. It's fine. What I want you to do anytime that this thing gets scary for you is I want you to go back to this one thing. Even if you have to go away from this for a while, turn it off. Don't look at the prices anymore. Go do something else. Go do something with your family, like DM Logic always says. If it scares you, when it scares you, I want you to look at this one thing. The fact that this is a new asset class, but for the first time since 1694, and the one asset class with the least amount of money in it is gold, which is a subset of an asset class, which is commodities, has $7.5 trillion in it, and we have 125 or so billion in crypto right now, with all of Wall Street coming, with all of these new products coming. They're coming. Well, before you turn it all off, if it gets scary as we go forward for a little while, look at this and tell yourself that, and then go back and read this quote right here. This is money right here. This is from Peter Pumpkin Eater. Yes, I'll have some. He's great on XRP. Go follow him. Here's the quote. The greatest wealth is created by being an early investor in innovation. Making that investment requires believing in something before the majority of people understand it. You will be mocked, ridiculed, and criticized for your non-consensus action. It is absolutely worth it. And what a great quote. And this is the guy I did a video on a few days ago from Morgan Creek, Mark Jusko. But I want to tell you something in line with this. I want you to think about everything that you've ever done in life, all the way from back when you were in high school. Anytime you had anybody, when we were in high school, the kid with the long hair would get picked on. I remember it like it was yesterday. When I was a kid, my brother was the kid who had the long hair, and he got picked on. But you know what happened after college? He got picked on because during high school, it was not cool to have long hair. And the same guys that were picking on him in high school, I saw when I was in college, and those guys had long hair. But they did not have long hair until it was acceptable in college for them to have long hair. When everybody had long hair, they were willing to have long hair. Those same guys made fun of my brother or picked on my brother when he had long hair. And the only difference between him and them was that he had the guts to have that long hair and be an individual and do it when everybody else told him it was a crazy thing or not the right thing to do. But he had the guts to do it. And all of those people, he set the trend. Those guys were followers, and they showed that they were followers when they went off to college. And I literally walked up to one of them at one time and said, "What was all that stuff about the long hair being so funny? You're sitting here with long hair now." But that's how human nature works. People want to be. Most people are followers, but the people who really get on in life are the people who do it when it's the right thing to do, or when your gut tells you it's the right thing to do. And, you know, owning XRP is by no means having long hair, but it does illustrate the point. When people have a tendency, when people are doing things that don't follow the herd and don't follow the crowd, humans have a tendency to point at those people and say, "You're an idiot. You're doing the wrong thing. That's stupid. That's a scam. That's this." But what's going to happen is, at some point, those same people that are pointing their fingers, because I've already seen it happen in my own life, those same people that are pointing their fingers, they're going to invest in on top of us. And when they do, you and I, you might be driving your Lambo, not me. I'll be doing something else. But we'll be doing something that they wish they could do because we had the guts to do what we knew made sense at the time. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family. Don't listen to the people that mock you and ridicule you and criticize you. As long as you know what you're invested in, as long as you know what you're doing makes sense and everything in your gut tells you it's the right thing and that we're in a new asset class and that crypto is here to change the world, that's what matters. It doesn't matter what people think. If I could tell a young person anything about life, any one thing besides be persistent, it would be just because there's naysayers that are telling you it's the wrong thing does not mean that it's the wrong thing. You make decisions based on your common sense, guided by your research and guided by what everything inside of you tells you is the right thing to do. And you'll do better than any of those people who are pointing their fingers, who are scared to take 1 foot off first base. Thanks for listening.